Let me get Chris.
Which one?
All right. So now the final stage of that Kimura Mouse Trap. We got Kimura, straight arm lock, Americana. But maybe I'm getting here, and then he brings his hand behind his head, right? Like he's grabbing here. So now you're kind of screwed here. Like, oh, this is not gonna. I can try to break this, but again, path of least resistance. If I get here, go to arm triangle now. Okay. So once I can get here, knee and belly, cross over, get nice and tight, and squeeze it. All right. So the way we look to finish this, once he gets his hands up high like this here, okay, I want to get my head on the mat, all right? Because once I have my head on that, the arm's trapped there, and then almost simultaneously, I'm trying to get this arm around the neck, over his shoulder, and then come through here. Okay. Now, initially, when you're setting up an arm triangle, you want your arm to be like a wet noodle. You don't want to flex early, because then you're going to have a hard time passing it through, because you flex your arm, it gets tight, and then there's less space to move around. So you want to be loose so you can get as deep as you can. A good arm triangle, the pit of your elbow is flush to the side of his neck. If there's like a little gap like this, it makes a huge difference in the effectiveness. Think of a nutcracker, right? You put the nut all the way at the edge, right, to snap it. If you put it like in the middle, you lose a lot of torque. The same thing with his arm triangle. It's going to get tighter deeper you are in it, okay? So when we're here, boom, he's defending like this, okay? Drop, boom, loose. And I don't have to worry about locking my hands yet, right? As long as my head's here, he's stuck, okay? Once I cinch in, I feel like I'm very deep. Now I can lock my hands. And again, it's keeping my head real low. I don't want to lift my head up at any point because then he can drop his elbow, boom, escape. Okay, so pretty much as longer I can keep my head on the mat, the safer I'm at. The next step here is getting my body on this side, okay? As long as I'm on this side, it'll be harder to finish, all right? And what I want to do is I go knee and belly, okay? Then I cross my ankles here, boom, okay? That keeps me out of the guard. I don't want to step into a half guard or anything, so that cross there prevents the half guard from happening. Now I'm here, okay? At this point, with the arm triangle, the classic finish, I want to walk into him, try to bring my chin over his face. Ideally, if you guys watch like old school Pride, this is Marcus Aurelius. He was fighting, I forgot who it was. And he had his chin literally in the guy's eyeball. That's like perfect, okay? Particularly if you have like a wispy beard like I do, and you're gonna poke him in the eyes, okay? But that's where you want to end up at. So I'm here. Why do I want to turn my head in? Because I'm pushing his arm into his neck. If you notice when I'm here, look where my neck is in relation to his tricep, right? See, I'm pushing it that way. That's why we want to go there. It's one reason, okay? Now the other thing, I want to stay tight here, okay? So I walk in, boom, and I'm not even squeezing it, right? It's already in. That's the one thing a lot of people goof up on with arm triangles. They think they have to muscle it. Like if you're muscling it and you're not getting it, you're just off position. It's a problem. It's not that you need to apply it more squeeze. You should be able to finish most of your arm triangles with like a 40% squeeze, right? You go 100%, the guy's sleeping, right? So again, nice and tight. I'm here, walking in, now light squeeze. Like there's a 30% squeeze is all I'm giving. If I got to 100 and I'm set,
Just go.
that's a good question. A lot of ways you can grip, okay? Classical way of gripping, like pretty much cable grip, right? Unconventional, which I like doing sometimes, is stacking wrists, okay? And what I mean by that, I get here, on this side, the choking arm is on top. I'm making an X, okay? And he'll tell you in a second, you feel the neck pressure, right? And what happens is, when I'm doing an arm triangle, just facing the camera for the camera purposes here, all right? What I'm trying to do is bring my shoulder to my wrist, right? Because his head's in the middle there. And if his head's right here, and I do this, I decapitated him, right? His head's rolling off the mat, okay? But it requires me to drop my shoulder to be able to do that. Now, if I stack my wrist, I just made the distance shorter by a considerable amount by the width of my wrist. And plus, this wrist is now upwards instead of sideways, so it's also higher. So you eliminate the amount of space you have to drop. That's why you can see, like, when I get in here and I stack like this, I get to lower less, right? Where here, you see how much lower I am to start with, and then I have to squeeze. So optional. Well, sometimes the problem with this for some people, it's not comfortable because you're wrist on wrist, and like particularly you put a lot of weight in it, it could be uncomfortable. So you can finish here too. This is an option. This sometimes you're gonna neck crank people because it's kind of like a Bravo or a Darce. You have a blade of the wrist right in the back of the neck, and sometimes they'll tap just from the neck pressure before the choke is even set. It's a bonus. Okay? Final thing here. When you're doing arm triangles, it's very common, they'll defend this way, right? So he does a telephone defense, right? He grabs his own head. And this makes it hard to choke him, right? Because now he's created this gap here. You can still finish, all right? The finish, the technique is different though, okay? So I get in tight, he defends here. What I'm gonna do now, rather than try to look into him, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna look away, here, okay? The variation here now is that initially the first way, I'm looking this way, I'm squeezing here. But when he puts his hand in, I can no longer choke him from this side. I can't use his arm to choke him anymore. So instead, I'm gonna use my own shoulder to punch down his throat. Okay? But again, we do this example here. If I wanna bring my shoulder into his throat, I have to look away. If I stay square here, see my shoulder's still high. So I get to drop it. Here, it's like this. So when they telephone here, I look away, I kind of, you see I'm twisting my hips a little bit so I can drive my weight on my shoulder. So again, he's defending here. I'm all the way in. I can't choke him like this. I come in here. Yeah, it's a different sensation too, right? Yeah. It's this now versus this. Any questions?
One more time on the last one, please.
Okay, yeah. So we'll do the whole thing. Okay? So I'm here. I go Kimura, straight arm lock, paintbrush. He grabs here. Okay. I'm gonna drop my head on the mat. Get around. Knee and belly. Cross. I get here. I start walking. Oh, let's do the first one. For the first finish, start walking. Twist. He telephones. Okay, come up on your hip. You're almost like tripoding now. Okay, I'm twisting, looking away, digging my shoulder. Okay. So, any other questions? All right, let's do it on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.